Welcome to Moonstone Update. I'm Mark Beshard, the Managing Editor of Moonstone Publications. Here's a look at some of the stories we've covered over the past week, but first, please hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends and colleagues. Only areas of business where there was no risk of money laundering could be excluded from the ambit of the Financial Intelligence Center Act, while even low-risk businesses should be accountable institutions. Peter Smith, the Executive Manager of Legal and Policy at the Financial Intelligence Center, said this in response to submissions on the draft amendments to the list of accountable institutions. Although the scope of the legislation was broad, Smith said how it had to be applied by accountable institutions depended on their risk exposure. Nova PropGrow Group Holdings says the compliance notice issued by the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission prohibiting Nova from disposing of its immovable properties is flawed, and its legal team is drafting papers to review the notice. According to the CIPC, the continued sale of properties without an equal or higher rate of acquisitions or developments would ultimately result in Nova not being able to generate an income, putting it out of business. The FSCA has asked for reports from certain FSPs and collective investment scheme managers on their ownership. FSPs that operate as sole proprietorships or partnerships are among the entities that are excluded from the request for information. The FSCA said it was necessary for the authority to scrutinize the ownership of the entities it supervises more closely to help mitigate the risk of financial institutions being used to facilitate criminal activity. Corporate taxpayers will have to consider the limitation on setting off any assessed losses against taxable income when making provisional tax payments at the end of September. Companies may now have a provisional tax liability. If a company's taxable income exceeds R1 million, the assessed loss balance carried forward that may be set off against that year's taxable income is the lesser of the actual assessed loss balance carried forward to that year, or the greater of 80% of the current year's taxable income and R1 million. The Board of Healthcare Funders has applied to the High Court to overturn the moratorium that effectively prohibits medical schemes from providing low-cost benefit options to South Africans who cannot afford full medical scheme membership. The Council for Medical Schemes, the Registrar of Medical Schemes and the Minister of Health were cited as the respondents to the application. The BHF said the Council's reluctance to amend the regulations governing low-cost options was tantamount to the denial of access to quality healthcare services. National Treasury's Acting Director General, Ismail Momoniat, says mechanisms need to be put in place to ensure that the regulators are doing their job in respect of suspicious financial transactions. He was responding to DA MP Dennis Ryder, who said many South Africans were asking why the Financial Intelligence Centre had not detected the transactions exposed by the Zondo Commission. Momoniat said most banks did report suspicious transactions, but National Treasury did not see those reports. Nedbank has blamed delays in the promulgation of amendments to the Financial Intelligence Center Act for the effective fine of R20 million and other sanctions imposed by the Prudential Authority for non-compliance with FICA. The sanctions included cautions, reprimands, and a total financial penalty of R35 million, of which R15 million has been conditionally suspended. That's all we have for this week. You can read these stories and many more on our website moonstone.co.za. Until next time, here's wishing you all the best from the team at Moonstone Information Refinery.